Welcome, guys, to a new podcast. This is going to be episode 4. So, if you haven't yet liked, comment, or subscribed to this channel, you should. You should also follow me on all my social medias at John D. Klauser. The link to those are going to be down in the description. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this little clip before the podcast starts. And yeah, and I'll see you guys on the other side. I don't know. This is like the 6th take I've done on this, so I think this is probably the one I'm going to use. Don't eat snakes.
Alright, my hula hoop is stuck, so we're just gonna put it out. If everybody can help me out. Whoa, whoa, whoa! No, it's okay. Help me out. Counting down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, guys. What is up? So this is a new episode of the podcast, my show. If you're not familiar with me, I'm John D. Klauser, and my show is The John Show, which, again, surprisingly is not taken, because I figured it's such a generic name that I would figure to be something that would be taken up like that. So, oh boy, we are here to do a podcast. I'm here to do a podcast for you. Because I'm sure you guys aren't doing much of anything right now because of all this damn corona stuff that's going on. It's really interesting. It's such a crazy time right now that's going on because, like, I feel like there is something that's seriously growing, and it makes sense to be or to be worried about it and to take precautions, and we should we should have distance from other people. That makes sense. It's just that. Again, this damn toilet paper stuff is really crazy. And maybe because I'm feeling it now because I'm getting closer to the end of my toilet paper. But there's always baby wipes. There's stuff I can do. I'm not worried about it. Like, I have options. And again, like what I said, toilet paper is disgusting. But you should always have some just as a backup. Always as a backup. And so I hope you guys are doing well, though. Hope you guys are safe, sound, washing your hands, not eating snakes. Oh my God. If you got, I just don't understand. I was talking to my friend today about weird things that people eat, like rats. And then we were talking about pig's feet. And then I was talking about how in Honduras, that's where I'm originally from. A big delicacy is the beef intestines, from a cow, which is beef, but it's the intestines, it's the small intestines of a cow. You can do pigs too, but I think pig is gross. I think pork is kind of gross. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm actually not a big fan. Surprisingly, I'm not a big fan of seafood either. I do not like it. Well, I will eat seafood if I was growing up. I spent a lot of time in Hawaii on the Big Island, and when I was out there, my family ate seafood all the time, and we would go fishing. And we would eat the fish from the ocean. And then we go to the markets. So the markets were open they had a city market every week. On Mondays was simply the vegetables and the fruits and all that stuff. And then on Saturdays, they had a big one where people would come in and have paintings. There'd be authors. There'd be authors. There would be, of course, people who were farmers who had vegetables and fruits and all this stuff, and it was the coolest thing in the world. And they would have fish there, but it was always up in the air with that. We would normally, if we went and got seafood, what we would do is we'd go to just down by the bay, and my parents would just go to some guy who would just go fishing privately by himself, and then he would come back in with his own shipment of fish and whatever he got. So sometimes he'd get mahi, sometimes he'd get ono. sometimes you get swordfish, sometimes you get shark. Like it'd just be different. And so then whatever would get, like whatever he had is usually what would get. So we'd get like 3 pounds of this, 1 pound of that, and then that was it. And I would eat seafood then, and it wasn't that bad. It wasn't my favorite thing. It's really honestly not I really don't like it. To me it tastes like gravel, like with salt on it. It does not taste good to me. I don't like that kind of meat. Like it's gonna sound, I don't know if it sounds bad, but like I'm just so Latin in that sense. Like rice, if you just give me rice, beans, and meat and some steak, like I am good to go. That's all I need, and I'm ready to rock and roll. I recommend that being the most that's like the best diet I think you'd have if you could just do that every day. But you'd literally have to do that like 4 or 5 times a meal. Like you don't have to go crazy with a bunch of rice. A little bit of rice, some meat, and you'll be good. Like even if you did that, you'd be good. But it's like it's crazy because that's what I do all the time. That's mostly all I eat is just rice, ground beef, and then like some like refried beans or just some black beans. It's nothing crazy, and I put some seasoning on it. I do adobo and I do hot sauce. That's 2 of the reasons why I have these things up here. But the reason why I have these things up here because I use them so much, and I recommend, like, if you just get some Cholula and you get some adobo, that's all you need for your, like, meats. And then, like, that's what I said, like, I rice, beans, and then I put meat, and then the meat is usually ground beef or just steak, like, thin sliced steak. Almost like if it's, like, beef and broccoli, like, cut, but without the broccoli. And boom. And then I always use adobo. I recommend adobo. And then I love hot sauce. Like I will eat like just tortilla chips and I put hot sauce on them and I'll just eat them like that. And that's all I'll do. Or if I really, really want to be Hispanic, I will take tortillas. I'll heat them up on a flat top. I'll take those and I'll just take hot sauce and then I'll just eat them like that. Like my body just works really well on that. And then when I work out and I do crazy, like heavy lifting, that's the best way I can lift weights and I can get thicker. And the thing is, like, I do get a little bit bigger in the stomach area, but it's like my stomach muscles tend to get a little bit of my abs, but they everything kind of flows with it, and it's really great. And like it's awesome how like a bro can talk about like weightlifting and about his body and wearing a pink shirt. I found this shirt in my like cupboard because I was just looking through a bunch of stuff because this whole Corona stuff has had me landed from my job. So I have like really nothing to do other than just kind of chill out and basically just do a lot of chores I would normally not have any time to do. And I found this shirt, this Garfield shirt, and it has him like on this, like on the arms, both. It's just a long sleeve pink Garfield shirt with blue writing on it. And yeah, if you've listened to this podcast so far, it's been pretty boring. So I guess I should probably get into like the little things I wanted to talk about this week. So, like right before my job got grounded, I needed to go to Home Depot. So this happened about a week and a half ago. And I had to go to Home Depot because I wanted to see if they had I have grip gloves. Grip gloves are gloves you use to take lights off, like big film lights, because of my job. So what I do is I work for a film company, and what I basically do is I go and I fly out to different locations, and I either help with the director, like I'm basically like an assistant director in retrospect. Or what I do is like I do a lot of like grip stuff for him once in a while. And so when I do that stuff, I like to have gloves because I'm literally lifting these like 80 to 100 pound like bags into a truck, taking them out of trucks. And then I set lights up like a 3-point lighting system, something that's very similar to what I'm doing here. But this is actually more of just being over dramatic with my lighting. I have a 3-point lighting and I have a fill light. So a 3-point lighting is basically you have a main light that's going to come on you. You have a fill light that's going to be on the back, and then you have like a backlight that just kind of illuminates you and kind of separates you from the background. It's real technical stuff, guys. If you want me to be honest with you, so when I work on those sets, I have these big thick gloves to lift these weights. And so what I normally do is I just have to put one in my like one in one back pocket, one in the other back pocket. And so I was like, I knew they had these like grip clips, and you basically, it's like a lanyard on your belt loop. You loop it onto your belt, and then like it hangs off, and you can just like clip it, and it clips your two grip gloves together. Well, I went to Home Depot because I'm like, oh, this place will definitely have it. So I Googled a bunch of places, and it said Home Depot has them. And so I'm like, perfect, great. And then I Googled what would be a great place. Looking back on this, I should have just went to Amazon and just bought one for $5 and just waited for 3 days. But anyway, so I went over to Home Depot because there's one, no joke, probably about maybe a mile and a half away from my location of where I live. And I'm like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to get in. I'm going to get out. I'm going to get this glove clip. It's going to be no problem. And this is like pre-corona, so like it's really nice. It was a good time. And so once I got there, I walked in and I'm like, I don't know where this thing would be. So I'm like, what should I do? I'll ask some people that work there. So I went up to two gentlemen. It was an Asian guy and a black guy. And I asked them, like, hey guys, I'm sorry to interrupt you, what you guys are doing, but I have a quick question. Do you guys have basically clips for like gloves, like that you can just clip them together that goes onto your like your belt loop? And the black guy, he was like, he had one that was clipped onto his vest, because you know they wear those yellow like not yellow but those orange vests, and it was clipped onto his vest. And he's like, he like kind of lifted up like this, and he grabbed it and he looked at me. He's like this, and I'm like, exactly. Then there was this pause, and we all three just stood there for a second. And then the black guy looked over to the Asian guy, and the Asian guy was like, maybe aisle 13. And I was like, I don't understand how you, the guy, had one. You had one, but you couldn't even tell me. Like, he's like, I understand if like you guys don't have them in the store, and I would understand that. But I would figure, like, since you literally had one on your body, you would know where you got that. You know where that it came from. You know that you had to go online. And then like, hey, I don't know, man. I went to like a bunch of other places and we didn't have it here. So, and I work here. And so I just said, fuck it. And I bought one online. I would understand that if you just said that. But the fact that you had it and then you passed that off to the guy next to you and you made him respond to a question that he clearly had no clue about. So I go down to aisle 13. Did they have any? They did not have any. And then I just realized when I was standing there walking up and down these two aisles that had gloves and they had like the mask, that was all pre-corona, and that was all pre-corona, like all that stuff. There was things on the wall that like the universe was telling me, maybe you should buy one of these masks instead of like buying this clip glove. And I was standing there at one moment and I looked up and I was like, I think that guy just basically was like, fuck off, like I don't want to answer what you had to say. And which is true. Like those little things like that, which are normally super normal and super easy for people to do, are never that easy for me to do. Like I plan out and I strategically write things down, and I will still go from point A to from my place to try to get to the location. I'll either get lost or there will be like an accident, and so I have to like go all the way around that. Or once I get there, like they don't have the thing I need to have, and I ask them if they have it, and they never, like no one ever knows. Especially Home Depot. Home Depot is the best place for that. Like if you want to go to a place where and you don't know what you know what you need to get, but you don't know where it's going to be in the store, go to Home Depot, because they don't know either. They won't know either, because nobody knows where anything is in that store. There's nobody, and they just love to yell at you too. If you have a camera. I've walked in there several times with a camera, and they were not fond of that. But yeah, that was my Home Depot story. That was like, that annoyed the hell out of me. That happened. It was more funny than anything, because it's like, it's really, I laugh at things like that though. I never get really upset, because it's like, I guess this is just a normal little random thing I'm going to have now. Like, I guess normal people don't have this kind of stuff. I feel like people who are like doctors and lawyers and people who like own their own businesses, like are are like very intelligent people enough that like this stuff doesn't bother them. And this battery's about to die on this camera, and I'm gonna probably have to stop here in a second. And I'm going to stop right now. All right. Okay. So we are back now. And yeah. So like I told you, so I was talking about how things are not normal, super easy for me. I can't just easily do something. So I was a doofus, and I had the old battery in because I was charging another battery, which I knew was probably almost like 95% charged, but I was like, I'm going to charge it at the beginning of me starting to do all the whole setup for the podcast. And then by the time I'm done and I'm ready to do the podcast, I'll switch out the batteries. I'll have a fresh new card into the camera. I'll push record and it'll be able to go for 30 minutes and I'll have no problem at all. And that did not happen. I did all the pictures, I did all the thumbnail and all that stuff, and I did the whole setup, and I had the camera on to make sure like it was framed right, how I want the lighting right, everything was good to go. And guess what I forgot to do? Change and put the new battery in when I pushed record to start the podcast. And I watched it, and I was talking to you, and I was about like maybe 4 or 5 minutes in, and I looked at the battery, and I was like, why is it already at half? And I'm like, it was full. It was supposed to be full. And I'm like, I didn't change the battery. And I knew what happened at the moment. And I was just sitting there. I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're going to have to just talk, and hopefully this battery won't run out. And then it started blinking red, and I'm like, I'm not going to risk it because I'd rather stop it and be able to like do the whole thing. So now I have to do one extra step in the whole process of exporting and then syncing sound with the audio, because the camera has its own microphone on it. It's a pretty high definition microphone, humble brag. And I have my microphone that's connected to an inbox that's to a professional, another humble brag, a better, higher version of an audio equipment. And then what I do is like, because I take the sound from the onboard sound, and I take that sound and I take the normal sound that I shoot on the other thing on the inbox, and I sync them together, and then I lower the sound on the onboard audio, and then boom, I have way better audio with the, I hope is somewhat clear picture with it. I shoot in 4K, but then I always down res it to I shoot it at 4K, and then I down res it to 1080, but it's already at 4K, and it's like all I'm doing is just making the file, instead of having like a big giant cake, I'm just making a small little baby cake, and I'm giving it to you. I'm like, hey, it's still like the same thing, but it's just a smaller condensed version of it, so it doesn't take fucking forever to upload on YouTube. Because like those files, because it goes from like almost like 75 gigs to drops down to like maybe a gig and a half. It's insane. All I have to do is, because I shoot everything in 4K, and then I just take it in and I edit it in 4K, and then when I export it, I down res one bit. But I honestly, because most of the time, what I think is people watch a lot of stuff mostly on tablets, or they watch it on their phone. I say phone more than tablets. But with that, in my mind, I'm thinking as a filmmaker, as someone who's producing something, like this is just a podcast. This is a free little thing I'm doing. Mostly, I'm doing it for myself. Like if you enjoy it and you watch it, awesome. But I'm doing this to work on my audio abilities as well as just working on my abilities just to talk. And so with that, I'm just like thinking like, okay, if I just downsize it a bit and I make it a lot easier to watch, because it's going to be 4K on your iPhone, it's going to be 4K on a tablet. Now, if you're watching on a big screen, you'd be like, okay, I can see where like it was down-resed a bit, just because probably for the file size. But now if I was doing a short film and I was filming it like with a Red camera, if I was shooting it with like a Sony, what I would do then is I would just keep it at the high res, and I would just not down res it at all. It'd be shot in 4K, and that'd be it, and that'd be done. It's a lot bigger file, so the end of the whole thing is going to be over like a couple hundred, if not like a terabyte size worth of like footage of like your full edited thing. But like that's how I do it. And then plus once you put filters on it and you color scheme it to the way you want it, and then you're adding audio, you're adding sound, you're adding like all these other little things. It all becomes this huge massive pile of something, of nothing really, because that's what's so awesome. Like filmmaking is so great because it's like the closest thing to make actual magic besides magic. But like it's so weird to like take, because what you're literally doing is you're taking these still frames and you're making it into like this moving thing, and then from that you're putting sound with it, and you sync the sound with this video, and then you're telling the story, and like it's like this 2D perspective of like of a moment in life, or a moment in like space, or a moment with like dinosaurs or something, and you're just fucking it's so cool. I that's what I fucking love about filmmaking is the coolest thing you could do. It is also the hardest thing you could fucking do in the entire world. I don't if I ever have kids and they were like, I want to be a filmmaker, I would be like, really rethink what you want to do. And like, I love it to death, but it's like, if you don't have the heart to like deal with the bullshit, and you have to swim in bullshit all the time, then like every once in a while you'll like bob your head up out of it, and then like you'll get like a sweet gig, and like those sweet gigs only last for so long. It's always, and like you just have to get lucky from, well, you have to bounce from one to another, to another, to another, to another, to another, to another. And if you want to do that, and that's like if you want to do like Hollywood stuff, or if you want to do independent stuff where you're just basically riding on your coattails the entire time, because technology is always advancing now. That's what's so great and what's so shitty about filmmaking now too, is the fact that right now you have, I just read this article with Ridley Scott. He did some of the Batman movies, and he's a pretty big filmmaker, director. And then what he was saying is like, especially kids that are in film school, like I'm so jealous of kids that are in film school now, because they have all this technology that like I was just at the cusp of almost getting. Like I didn't have like our iPhones didn't shoot in 4K. Like you can be a filmmaker in school and just get some really cool lights from their school and like rent them out, and then like you shoot something with your iPhone, and like you're like, if you really want to be super super fucking cheap with it, like you'd have ask your friends, and like all you do is you'd buy like little hard drives that you just plug into them, and you can just film directly onto that. And as long as you get the footage, boom, like you're good to go. Like you're not gonna have as much control over, and because you'd have to use the app, and you have to also worry about the app crashing. But the thing is, like those apps don't crash until like the third or fourth like upgrade of like the iOS systems, and then they become irrelevant. That's the only shitty thing about those little like thumb drives that slide into your iPhone or your smartphone, is that like the iOS always outgrows the iOS, or the little impactness on your the way that the hard drive connects to the phone. Like it always ends up like the phone always ends up going too much higher, and then you can't use the little things anymore, or then you have to mail them back. And if you have the warranty, it's fine if it's within the first year, but after you get out of the first year, you're like, no. And it happened to me on 2 different ones within the first year, and I was like, I see what they're doing now, and I just like, fuck this. So I use AirDrop now. If I use anything on my iPhone, I just AirDrop it down onto my laptop, and then from my laptop I take it onto a hard drive. But what Ridley Scott was talking about was that you have no excuse now as a filmmaker. You can make anything now. Like I can use my iPhone, I can use a nice, like I just have what I use to record this, I use a Canon. And so it's not like, it's a nice normal like Rebel camera. It's nothing crazy. And I'd shoot this, and it's just normal. I put some lights up, and no big deal. Like I use clamp lights for all of this. This is all clamp lights, and I use just 4,000 Kelvin pure daylight light bulbs at 100 watts. I do 100 watts because I just like to go over the top, because I figure if I go way high with my lighting, I can always drop down a lot easier, versus not having as much light and having to work a lot harder with your camera and your aperture and like your iris, and like open everything up. And I don't want to do anything. Like if I can have my camera at the lowest stops as possible, and like if I can get my iOS at 100, and I can get my shutter at, I would say 50. Yeah, I would say 50. 50 is like the best for me. I like 50 and then like no higher than, if I have to, I'll go 80 sometimes on a can. I'm talking strictly on, these are like mostly on cannons, what I'm talking about. It works. It works good. I say 50. If I can get it to 150, but the thing is, like, to get like that, you have to boost up your level, your light level, way higher than it normally would be. So like you're on here and you're blowing yourself out in the sense of like your eyes. It's like because you have to have this 3-point lighting. So you have a light that's coming in here. You have a light that's coming right on the side of your side vision on either side that you choose it to be on. And then you have a backlight. But then I also have a light over here. And then I have another little fill light, right, that's right over, a little bit further over than what my fill light is. So it just kind of covers and it lights up this area a little bit more. So it's not as like almost like a silhouette of me versus kind of like, I wanted this stage to look like a bro stage a little bit with the flags and like I wear a hat backwards and I have like all this random weird shit. And like I have a shelf that's made out of all like milk cartons. I have a whole shelf thing made out of it. Like, and like, I just was like, what's bro-ish things that I could do to make a cool set? And I'm like, I started just thinking of like bro stuff. And I started thinking about real bro things I did back when I was in college. That was a good time. That was a lot of partying. A lot of partying in college. Drank a lot. Mostly my freshman and my sophomore year. And then I kind of like stopped doing that and I got more in my filmmaking work after that. When I was about like a junior is when I really started like hitting it hard, because that's when I got my first I got an assistant job. I was the assistant for the casting director for the movie Independence Day. She did that movie. What else? She did like a lot of NBC stuff. So I worked on a lot of like How I Met Your Mother. Like I got to read the script with the cast. And I had to sign a whole like waiver saying that like, hey, if I can't say anything about this, like everything you're gonna kind of get like an inside scoop of like what's going on before everyone else does. Like this is like pre-filming. This is basically everyone learning their lines, kind of memorizing everything, and that's it. And like she was the casting director for them, and so I would read the lines with one of the actors, and like we would do things like I'd go over to her place and I would read lines with actors. It was like the coolest. It was really cool because I had like a passcode to her house. I walked her dogs. I went and got her laundry. I got her like, dry cleaning and stuff like that. Like I would drive her car around to go get the oil changed. Like I would like, she's like, something's like wrong with my car. Can you just like drive it and see, like, can you figure out like what it is? I'm like, oh, you just need to get an oil change. She's like, well, here's my card. Can you go do that for me? I'm like, yes, I can go do that. And so I would drive around Los Angeles from Beverly Hills, drive all the way down, go get the oil change, go put some like gas in the car. Like it was really cool. And I was at that age, I was a junior in college. So I was 23 years old and just being a fucking dipshit. It was weird. And I was at one time when I was doing that job I would say 2 months before I graduated from college. I was living on Crescent Heights and Sunset and Crescent Heights. I believe that's where it was, because it's like right where all the Jews live. I like to live with my people. And I was living there, and I was also a nanny. I was the personal assistant, and I was a nanny. And every once in a while, when I had like downtime from those two jobs, I also worked at Abercrombie and Fitch, and I worked in the back. And I like, it was like such a bro job too, because I worked down on 3rd Street Promenade. So I would park up on like Santa Monica, like up where like a lot of the apartments are, because like if you like go down, you drive down on 3rd Street Promenade, like it's all you have to pay for parking. You have to go into like a structure and pay for parking. And the thing is, there used to be a structure where there was no place where you had to grab a ticket. And it was like, oh, it was so cool, because like I first got there, I'm like, does anyone know where like a place you can park like it's close? They're like, oh yeah, you have to park. It's like on 5th and something. And there was the one place, and you could just drive right in, and you go up there, and you can like get 2 hours free for parking. But the thing is, most of the time you park on the very, very top. And what I would do is I'd park on one side, because they would come. There was a guy that would come and mark your car. So what you'd want to do is you'd erase that. This is what I would do just to be safe. So I would erase it if they chalked my car, and then on the tire, I'd go out, and if I parked on one end, I would drive all the way onto the other end of the same top structure, because no one ever wants to park. It was an 8-story structure, so no one ever wanted to park on the 8th story. And so I would just do that, smoke a bowl, and then I'd walk back to my job, and like either that, but then like they caught on. So what I started doing is I'd park maybe like almost 2 miles away, and I would just smoke a bowl all the way down to work on 3rd Street Promenade. It was a good time. That was so fun. And then I got caught once with pot and my pipe in my backpack, because like if you work at Abercrombie and Fitch, what they do is once your shift is over, like they go by 4-hour shifts, and so you work 4 hours, you go 8 hours, and that's it. It was a weird job, because I ended up actually getting there was a lawsuit that ended up getting like a couple $1,000s back, because when you would have to clock out, and you have to wait for a manager to come and like check your bag and make sure you didn't like steal anything. Well, anyway, that could take like sometimes 15, 20, 30 minutes. No joke, because our place was always so busy, because we had all the tourists, because it was on 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica. This is California, if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about. And so, but I was getting my bag checked, and I had a little thing, like something similar to this. And it's like, it was basically, this is an earphone case, but I used like a eyeglass case. But what I liked a lot about it was the fact that like I could put my pipe in it. I had a nice little pipe, and then I had a little like pill jar that was from like a medical marijuana distillery that I got from when I first moved to California, and I kept it just as like a nostalgic kind of thing, like no big deal. And the thing is, like, I had a bunch of them. I actually had like a sack full of them, but then I threw them all away, because I moved from one location. I moved from Culver City to Crescent Heights. That's when I went from Culver City to Crescent Heights, and I threw all that stuff because I didn't want to carry it in my car. But so I had something like this, and I had my pipe, and I had my weed thing in it, and like my managers never cared, and I was always a really good worker. I've always been a really good worker. That's one of the one things I can say about myself, is that I work really hard, and I will bust my butt to get things done. It might take me some time, but it'll eventually get fucking done, but I keep on working at it. But so I was like getting checked out, and like they pulled one out, like something like this, and like she shook it, and then she kind of looked at it, and I'm like you don't want to open that, and then she opened it, and she saw it. She's like, John, you can't have stuff like that here, okay? And I'm like, okay. And she's like, if you do it again, I will have to like write you up or fire you. But I didn't see anything, okay? I'm like, okay. She's like, bye. And I'm like, bye. But funny story is, like, this was like this really cute little, like, she was half Puerto Rican. I think she was just Puerto Rican. There was a lot of really cute Puerto Rican girls. There was a lot of cute black girls. There was a lot of cute white girls. There was Italian girls that would be like, we would get foreigners that would come and work for us. And like, they would just be like really pretty people that got recruited because like there was an Abercrombie and Fitch like in like their city and like in Italy that they used to live in. It was weird shit like that. And it was a shitty paying job, but like I met a lot of cool people. There's a lot of cool parties, and that's where I partied a lot, was at places like that. And like these were like rich, really like way different people than like what I grew up seeing or experiencing. People I knew, and because they were just like rich or like, but like even like middle class in California is way higher up than like the middle class. I would say middle class in Missouri or in Kansas or like the Midwest, anything like that. But it was a good time, man. So the funny thing is, like, I was just gonna ramble, and like I reset my clock and I just reset my whole like audio thing, because I usually do about like 27 28 minutes, put a 5-second timer in front of it, we good to go. And I was just gonna like kind of ramble until I didn't have anything else to ramble about, but I have like 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes left, and I don't know. I think that was pretty good. That was like, that would have been a podcast, wouldn't it, guys? I don't know. I feel like I should go until it blinks on the camera, which I think will be blink on 20 or something. But what can we talk about? What else do I have? So I had the Corona stuff. I had like football, crazy stuff. Tom Brady. Holy fuck. Do you guys watch football? Oh my God. So football, huge part of my life. Love football. It's a great fucking thing to talk about. It's a great thing to watch. It's a great thing to play. It's a great thing. It makes you a man. It makes you a man. That's probably another bro thing you can say. Like, especially a bro-ish guy. Because I know how I come off. I know how I come off. And with a pink shirt, not Clifford, what is this? Garfield? Clifford. I should get a Clifford shirt. If anyone knows where I can get a Clifford shirt, you should probably DM me on my Instagram at John D. Clouser. You can also follow me on my Twitter and my Facebook. Those are both the same thing. You know how, like, when you subscribe to this channel, John D. Clouser, it's the same spelling, it's the same thing. You basically take that and you can just put it in every search engine, and I'm the only one that comes up, because that's one of the great things about having a weird last name. It's like super simple, because it's like almost like closer, or like closer, like close, and like, but it's just slightly off. And like, there's actually so many different ways you can spell it. Like, I used to have a drunk as my football coach. My high school football coach was a drunk, and my defensive coordinator was a super pothead. And so, like, but we won state championships. I don't know. It's just what we did. And also a humble brag. But but how he would always spell my name was, it's Clouser, but he would spell it Clauser, Clouser, which it makes sense. It works. But like, that's like something you do, like, because you're drunk. And then like, there's people that would spell it Clouser, Klauser, those kind of things. It was just, it's a weird spelling. It's like, it's so simple, but yet I understand why people mess up, and I drop my pen, so I'm like trying to grab another one just in case if I want to talk about something else. But yeah, Tom Brady, it's gonna be a Buccaneer. It's weird because it's like what makes it weird to me, and it's like, I'm not like a New England fan. I'm not even a really big Tom Brady fan, but it's like Tom Brady's been in the league. Like, he's been in the league when I was like a kid. I was like a teenager when he got into the league, and then I've seen him like grow up, and I see him. He's become like this stoic man, and like, I'm an adult now. I'm an adult. I'm 31, so like, it was so funny for me. Like, I have such a Peter Pan syndrome. I feel that like I think of everyone, whenever I meet everyone, I feel like they're older than I am. Like, it's just how I feel. And I'm like, yeah, I might be able to lift more than you, but like, I'm pretty sure I'm not immature, and I'm immature, but like, I'm still, pay my bills, I pay my taxes. Like, I'm very like, I keep my receipts, and then like, I write those stuff off. Like, I try to write stuff off as much as I can, just because like, I'm a Jew, and it's fun for me. Like, this week I only spent, because I haven't had anything to do, and today was the first day I had to actually drive like 45 minutes to a place and back from a place, and I had to go to this like small little meeting. So I'm trying to do a 1-minute film. It's gonna be really fucking cool, guys. I'm gonna keep everyone in tune with that. But yeah, I have a 1-minute film that's gonna be I'm gonna be filming, or trying to be filming, and so. But I don't even know where I was going with all this. But like, yeah, I have like 4 minutes left. I looked down and like, I lost what I was going to say. This happens sometimes. Oh yeah, because I look like I'm a child. See, like, that's a child thing to do. But yeah, and so when I meet people, I always feel like everyone's older than I am. Like, and I meet people too that are like 22. Like, I ran into someone I used to be a manager for, and he was 16, 17 when he started working for me, and now he's 22 years old, and he has a kid, and he's married. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I'm 31 and I'm not married. I don't have like any prospects of having a kid. I have no prospects of having a woman in my life, which is completely fine. I'm not upset with that. I am completely fine with that. It's just so funny to see all this stuff. So when it ties back to like seeing like Tom Brady now, and then him kissing his son, if you have ever seen that, there's a clip out there that he kisses his son like for a solid like 6 seconds, and it's kind of gross. It's kind of gross. That's the only weird thing I would say that's odd about Tom Brady was that. Besides that, he's had a pretty clean record. He's like won 6 Super Bowls. He should have, like, think about like in the ones that he lost. He lost those two to was it New York Giants? He lost 2 of them to them, and it's like the 2 ones that Eli Manning won were against Tom Brady, which was pretty baller on his part. But it's just, for me, it's like it's a stoic moment to see that he's getting older. He's on his back 9 easily, and seeing that, like, oh, look at me, I'm an adult now, and I'm doing what I always wanted to do. I always wanted to have audio equipment. I always wanted to have cameras. I just always wanted to be able to do film stuff, and I'm doing that. And so it's cool to see where I'm not relating myself to Tom Brady, but I'm having like a stoic moment in the sense of like seeing him going from one team that he was with them for 20 seasons. 20 seasons, man. That's like a long fucking time. And then to see him now going to be with another team. But so, yeah. I have like 2 minutes left. Like almost about 2 minutes, 15 seconds. So I'm going to probably start sliding down into this podcast. So, yeah, guys. I want to thank you. If you guys gotten this far and you watched this, like, thank you guys so much. Like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah. Follow me on my social medias at John D. Klauser. And I hope I didn't realize I'm way on the 3rd floor of this studio, but I hope I wasn't too loud. The people below me, like, I had to wait till they were done because they had music on. They were fucking, their bathroom's been messed up, and so they finally got it clean. They finally got it fixed today, and so they were back in their apartment, and they were fucking, I could hear them because I had to go outside and grab something from my car, and I stopped and I heard a bunch of fucking sounds, and I'm like, and they were another one bites the dust was going on. It was a great time. It was funny. Well, it was a good time for all of us because I got a story out of it, and they got to climax. So I think that is where I'm going to end this podcast, guys. Thank you guys so much. Like, comment, subscribe. You are all beautiful people. Wash your hands. Stay safe. Don't get the corona. If you do get it, I don't know if I had it, but it really wasn't that bad. It got me out like 6 hours. I threw up a bunch, but then I slept, and I was fine as soon as I woke up after that. All right, guys, you're beautiful. Thank you guys for watching this. If you guys did, give me a thumbs up, please. That'd be beautiful. Those things like really help. I will talk to you guys on the next episode.